Very good morning from the Union Buildings here in Pretoria, South Africa. We are anxiously awaiting the arrival of President Xi Jinping as well as South African President Cyril Ramaphosa. President Xi is in the country on a state visit. It's his third state visit. It is, of course, the 20th anniversary of diplomatic ties between South Africa and China. And as you can see, the Union Buildings here are a hive of activity. Maybe what I'll do is I'll ask Orto to just show you what's happening at the moment. Plenty of journalists, particularly Chinese journalists in their contingent. Maybe the shot you're seeing right now, that is Pretoria, that's South Africa's administrative capital. This is, of course, President Xi's very first stop. He is in the country for the meeting for the BRICS Summit, due to start on the 25th and run until the 27th, but it was important for President Cyril Ramaphosa to host him on a state visit, given that China and South Africa have such close bilateral ties. Now, you'll know that this partnership stretches back more than 20 years. As President Xi said in a letter recently, that both China and South Africa struggled against imperialism, colonialism and racism. China stood with South Africa during, to quote the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, during the bad old days of apartheid. But what they're doing now is they're basically reflecting back on this partnership that started out as just a diplomatic partnership, then progressed to a strategic partnership, finally a comprehensive strategic partnership. Now, this growing bilateral relationships shows the political and economic trust and trade cooperation that the two countries have. As I mentioned, China, South Africa's biggest trading partner, and South Africa is China's biggest trading partner on the continent. Now, the welcome ceremony this morning will consist of a parade and a 21-gun salute. Both the presidents will be accompanied by a very large delegation. They'll then move to the Center for Scientific and Industrial Research here in Pretoria to have a look at South Africa's square kilometre array, or the precursor to that, the Meerkat. This was launched in South Africa last week. It's a 64-dish array that basically looks at the mysteries of the universe and seeks to explore dark matter, something that South Africa, in collaboration with international partners, are building out in the Northern Cape. Because of logistical challenges, they couldn't take President Xi to actually see these hundreds and hundreds of radio telescopes. So they've decided to put up an exhibition for him at the CSIR here in Pretoria. They will tour that exhibition. The First Ladies also have a spousal program. They're heading to what is known here in South Africa, a township. They're going to see some orphans. They'll be playing with the children. There'll then be a graduation ceremony for these orphans. So both the presidents and their wives being kept very busy this morning. That's the program that we have here for the rest of the day. Most of it due to take place here in the capital, Pretoria. Maybe what I will do is just ask Orto if he's not shooting against the sun. Orto, if you're not shooting against the sun, could you maybe just pan a little bit around so they can just see what the Union Buildings actually look like and where we are at the moment. President Xi saying that the bilateral ties with South Africa has been an example of South-to-South cooperation for unity among emerging market countries. Maybe I'll give you a figure of the trade. The two-way trade totaled almost 40 billion rand in 2017. That's 20 times the figure it was at the start of this diplomatic engagement. Preliminary statistics show China's foreign direct investment in South Africa has grown more than 80 times and exceeded 10 billion, creating tens of thousands of jobs in an economy that's really struggling with a high unemployment rate. That is, of course, the press contingent that you're seeing on your screen at the moment. A very large delegation here for President Xi's visit, but also, of course, they're in the country, as I said, for the BRICS Summit due to get underway. That's Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa. That's due to get underway in just a day or so, and that's the 10th BRICS Summit. President Cyril Ramaphosa saying this is a good time to reflect on the opportunities and benefits the membership to BRICS has been for South Africa. They're trying to make sure that those benefits trickle down to the rest of Africa, so that not just South Africa benefits from this partnership with BRICS. And of course, this state visit by President Xi Jinping is a precursor to the arrival of the other presidents in the country. But what we're seeing today is that President Xi and President Ramaphosa will head into a closed-door session where they will have bilateral talks. They'll then address the media a little bit later this afternoon on the outcomes of those bilateral talks, what deals might be signed between China and South Africa. Those are the kind of things that are usually discussed behind closed doors. I'll maybe give you a kind of sense of China's presence here in South Africa. Nearly 200 international companies are present in South Africa, including cell phone giant Huawei. They're also planning, I can hear the brass band starting, I don't know if you can hear it, they're busy practicing. They're also planning to launch the Beijing auto manufacturers line a little bit later in December to actually produce some motor vehicles straight off the line in another province here in South Africa. So that's all part of it. There are hundreds of Chinese traders, the local China Mall. We have a small Chinatown, both here in Pretoria and in the economic capital, Johannesburg. So that's a kind of presence and bilateral ties that China and South Africa has, something that stretches back over 20 years, and they're celebrating the 20th anniversary of those diplomatic ties. The brass band is busy warming up ahead of that. They're also getting the cannons ready for the 21-gun salute. It promises to be a lot of fanfare. There are Chinese flags and South African flags just as you come into the Union buildings. There's also been Chinese flags erected at the airport. So certainly a sense of excitement ahead of President Xi's state visit. It is his third to the country, so he is quite familiar with South Africa. In that letter in a Weekly Times, he said, and I quote, "I'm full of expectation as I wait to set foot again on the beautiful land of South Africa, the Rainbow Nation, standing at the conversion of the Indian and Atlantic Oceans and home to unique and magnificent landscapes, industrious and enterprising people, and colorful and pluralistic cultures." So very many cultures, and something that President Xi has experienced. The foreign minister yesterday saying that a state visit isn't simply about economic or trade benefits, but also goes beyond that, giving the visiting president a sense of the country's culture. They might take him on a game drive in our biggest national park, the Kruger National Park, but I think they'll certainly want to show off the kind of scientific advancements that South Africa has made along with the international community with the square kilometre array, and that's why they'll be touring the precursor to that, the Meerkat, the 64 dish telescope at the CSIR a little bit later. I think that's why that's an important stop for President Xi, and it was important for President Ramaphosa to show him what the scientific advancements have been on the SKA. Obviously, building the world's largest radio telescope, something to rival the Hubble telescope, is something South Africa is really proud of. It's also really proud of its diplomatic ties with China. There are just more people coming in. This official ceremony is due to start in just about half an hour here, where we will see the presidents coming down the red carpet. Maybe Orto can show you. They'll come out from the office and walk down the red carpet. They'll make their way around. There'll be a military parade accompanied by the military band. You can see them in the distance there. They're just busy tuning their instruments. So they'll walk around, have a look at that, accompanied by their ministers, and as I said, they'll head into that closed door session. After that, they will then address the media. They will then go to the Centre for Scientific and Industrial Research here in Pretoria. They'll have a look at the at the exhibition of the precursor of the meerkat. I can see some flashing lights, so I think there might be some ministers coming in at the moment, walking up the red carpet just to the left of us. I think some of the delegations are coming in, some of the officials are busy coming in. There is a huge delegation expected to accompany President Ramaphosa this morning. I think they'll be coming up the red carpet at any minute. As I said, the official welcome ceremony, due to get underway at 10 a.m. We're expecting that to run on time. Both presidents are pretty strict about time, and they do have a full schedule this morning, so that will be important. You can see the press contingent there just waiting for the official ceremonies to get underway. Maybe what I can do is tell you a little bit about South Africa's union buildings, where we are at the moment. That might be a point of interest. So the Union Buildings was built way back in 1910, and it's divided into three sections, basically. It is the amphitheatre, the offices and the right offices. All are 95 meters in length, and each of these office blocks contains 3 inner courtyards. So it's the official seat of government, as I said, and also houses the offices of the President of South Africa. So that is South Africa's Union Buildings. A monument that I think everyone in South Africa is really proud of, and this is of course the venue that President Xi will be making his third appearance in South Africa from. This morning, as I said, those official welcoming celebrations due to get underway here in Pretoria in just under half an hour. We'll try and get you live updates about his visit throughout the day. We'll try and get you live pictures about that throughout the day as well. Really, as I said, they have a packed schedule here, and that's all from us at the Union Buildings at the moment. Do follow us on Twitter, Facebook for live updates throughout the day.